Looks like I'm in some sort of cave or something. Hides the double chin though, doesn't it? Light being underneath the head. Bonus! Hello, how's everybody doing? Yeah, I don't know if that's any good or not. You can see the big light in the corner there. We'll try that, we'll switch that off. Oh yeah, no, it's made absolutely no fucking difference at all to me. I'm fully lit, me, aren't I? And yeah, the cabs look okay, so we'll go with that. I think it's different. I'm experimenting with different things in here, different lights and shenanigans. I'm sure there's going to be like all kinds of shit. I think I probably need a light behind me, but that's not going to fucking happen, is it? You know. Anyway, we've got the cabs behind me, haven't we? They're light enough, aren't they? Hello, how are you doing? So, yeah, a bit of cabbage here for you, a bit of an update. Could be a bit waffly, could be a bit rambly. This. I've got so much to kind of fit in, and all the time in the world as well. Let me just move this out here. And we're going to be having a look inside the cabs in a bit, so. I don't know how that's going to work either. I'll probably get the spotlight, which I've just blinded myself with, inside the cabinets. So yeah, the Candyman can. Here we are with the candy cabs. So a bit of information. I did say I wanted to do a bit of a standalone video on these, didn't I? Now, both these cabs, and we'll get this one out of the way first, and this is a thanks to Mo at Videotronics UK. Now, I don't know if you can make that out. God, it looks like it's midnight here or something, doesn't it? It's middle of the day. So, Videotronics UK, and that's where both these cabinets came from. That's Mo. Thanks again to Craig. Craig's here again for putting me in touch with said vendor. Now, this first one, I was only going to get one cabinet initially. When I went to see Mo, I noticed he'd got two of these. And they were the only two he'd got as well. I wanted a vertical setup. Off the bat, because you know I'd taken away my my vertical shooter setup that I had with the Framemeister and that LED to run the Saturn through, and this is the Saturn running on this screen here currently. This is emulation. We'll talk. I'd say it's probably going to be all chopped up and all over the places because there's a lot that's happened since while I was getting them, since I've had them. There's a lot that's kind of happened. Yeah, I look like I'm about to tell a horror story. Didn't gather round the fire, please. I'll tell you a story. It looks a bit weird. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but we'll film the fucker anyway. Let's get it in the can. Let's get it in the can. I've also got my UK VAC t-shirt on. We'll talk about them in a second as well. As I say, there's going to be tons of tangents, and you know it's going to be all over the place. So please bear with. Do some bearing with. And I'm not even drunk, I'm drinking water. Water. First day of the rest of my life today, but that's another subject. Yeah, I'm going on a bit of a health kick for a while, try and shift some timber. Because you can hardly see these cabinets behind me. I'm a pretty wide load at the minute, has to be said. So I'm working on that. See, I've gone off subject already, aren't I? It's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those. Keeping my eye on the battery light as well, because I think the batteries are dying for this cam. I may have to get some new ones or just get a new cam. Shall I get a new camera? I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, ramble rampage. So, went to Mo's, and basically what I did was contacted Mo in the early days, and these were going to be Blast Cities initially. But then I looked into the kind of the dimensions that I'd got in the room. I wanted things to be compact. And when I'd seen the Astro Cities at Arcade Club, I looked at those and kind of did some measuring, and I thought, yeah, I think they'll fit better. The Blast Cities are a little bit taller, not much, only about 6 inches taller. But I felt that they may kind of, you know, dominate the room a little bit. I'm not sure whether they would or not, but yeah, they seem to be a bit taller. The bonus with the Blast Cities is the front panels here that jut out. They come off, so you're able to move your cabinets through your doorways and stuff without taking them apart. Now these had to be taken apart. Now I'm gonna try and put some pictures in and I'm not sure how I'm going to edit the video over that. I may do it over this, the pictures, I'm not sure as I'm talking. But the first cabinet, I got in touch with Griffo as well. Griffo gets a shout out in this one. Hi Paul. And he said, oh, he doesn't like to have Astro Cities because you know, they won't just go in the house, you have to take them apart sort of thing. So I knew that I would have to strip them down to get them in here at least, into the game room, and that's what I had to do. So I was on holiday actually in Scotland. I'd contacted Mo and he told me that he'd got some Astro Cities in. So we were on the way back from Scotland, and my good dear wife, bless her, put up with an 8-hour detour on the way home to call in at Mo's and to look at these cabinets. So got to Mo's, and he's got all sorts of stuff in there as well. If you're interested in any kind of arcade machines at all, have a word with Mo, go and see Mo, see what he can do for you, because he's got a ton of stuff in there. Sega Lindbergh machines down to standalone arcade machines, the new Astro Cities. I'm not sure if he'd have any Blast Cities. I know he'd got quite a lot of Blast Cities, but he'd got new Astro Cities, and he'd got Astro Cities as well, and I think I took his last two. I don't think he'll have any more of these. I was lucky really to get them. But the first cabinet went down, saw it. Now he got these two in. Now this one, it has to be said, was in slightly worse condition cosmetically, and although behind me they look pretty minty, and I've cleaned them right up, they were both really seriously grubby. These were basically brought in from arcades in Japan. I'm not sure they came from arcades. I think they may have come from delis or something like that, because the amount of kind of sticky substances I've scraped off these and you know, and I may put some pictures in of the grime that were underneath the panels and stuff. I mean, you know, these were projects. Now this one I looked at and I thought, well, that looks less of a project for me. And on the first one, I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to get anything that was going to really seriously give me any grief, because I'm new to all this. You know, as I've said, I'm on a learning curve in here, and the cams are just part of that. You know, they're part of the curve. And although there's a lot of people around me that have been there and done this, you know, and can advise, I'm totally green, wet behind the lug holes with this stuff. So I didn't want anything that I would have to work too much on, because I don't really know what I'm doing at this stage. I still don't. So this one cosmetically looked a bit better. There's a bit of a chip on that top bit and on here. There's no cigarette burns or anything on it. And the panel that was on it was a Blast City panel. We'll come back to that in a minute. I don't think you really see it from there, can you? You know, I'll put some close-ups and stuff in as we go forward. So this one, yeah, it had a Blast City panel, and they all had Blast City panels as well actually, and Mo says that that's probably because Blast City panels are probably more readily available. You know, the Astro City panels, which this has now got on it, are rarer because, you know, they're older and there's less of them now, so it made sense. And it was a single player setup as well. Now the screen itself was in a horizontal position like the other one. Now on these, because I was toying with the idea about getting an egret too as well. Now on the egrets there's a mechanism inside where you take the bolts out, all this comes off, this front bit comes off, and you're left with just the monitor on its frame. And you loosen the bolts and you can actually swivel the screen, it just turns. Now these turn, but you've got to lift them off 4 pegs and turn it and put it back in, and they're really heavy. These are probably the heaviest CRTs I've had to carry. Now when it's on its frame and it's out of the cabinet, it's pretty easy, but when you're leaning over into the cabinet, you know, it's pretty much a two-man job really. So I took the risk of doing it myself because I've got no mates, and plenty of mates now have got cabs in. Yeah, fuckers. So yeah, it's kind of a tough job. So if you can get somebody to help you with that, do so. But all you have to do is literally swivel the screen. I think the best way to do it is to turn it anti-clockwise, and it goes in, and the cables and everything still, you know, reach the chassis from the gubbins inside and that. So that's all you've got to do. And once it's back in, you're done. You know, you're done. This had to come apart anyway, so I had it delivered. Mo delivered it himself. We struck up a bit of a deal, and Mo delivered it himself with the help of about 4 other guys. They come in a Luton that drops, you know, it's got a ramp on the back that moves. So they dropped that at my garage, and basically I put it in the garage to begin with. I thought I'll get it in the garage, then I'll basically take it apart because I've got to get it in here. And it's funny, there's not a lot inside these cabinets. There's the biggest thing is the monitor obviously, and the chassis and everything behind here. But inside underneath, there's not a lot in there, you know, apart from the coin mech, and the bucket for the change and the actual bit that holds the bucket, which I'm going to remove on at least one of these so I can fit all the stuff in. There's not a lot inside there, so and they're actually fiberglass as well. There's a couple of steel panels, but the vast majority of these candy cabinets are fiberglass, so they're really light. So I thought I'll get it in the garage, I'll strip it down, I'll take it right down to, you know, the individual parts, and then I'll bring it up a bit at a time. And that's what I did. I basically took lots of photographs. I'll be maybe putting them in here now. I took lots of photographs as I was stripping it down, just for reference as well. I've built motorcycles, you know, for a long time, and it's always a good idea, especially with wiring, to take pictures of where things are routed and what connector blocks go to what connector blocks, so then when you take it apart it's easy to go back. Another little tip also is to put a little piece of masking tape on either side of a connection and number it, so when you pull it apart, you know, you've got the number that there's no mistake, you know, it's going to go back where it came from. Now I was lucky because both these candy cabinets have not really had much done to them. They've not been meddled with a great deal, so the wiring in them is pretty standard. So and the block connectors are sized and shaped to only go back into that block connector. So there's not a lot you can do wrong, you know, there's not a lot. And I just took my time, you know, taking them apart. I was cleaning the pieces as I was taking them apart. Now they both, I think they've both been in smoking environments, but that's all gone now, and I'll show you a little thing I did as well, a little tip for the top if you've got a bit of a smoker of a cab. But I cleaned them all right down, as I say, all the brown gunk and everything came off them, and they were pretty nice, you know, once I'd finished. And pretty fresh smelling as well, but as soon as I got them in this little room you could smell it again. But yeah, I'll show you what I've got inside the cabinet there a bit later on to counteract that. And they're now as fresh as a daisy in here. It's like they've never seen a cigarette. So yeah, that was the first one. Got that in here. As I say, I wanted a vertical setup straight away, and that's what I did. Now at that point I started thinking about what am I actually going to run on these things, because you know, there's lots of influence here and there from people that have got these and what they're running on and stuff. The purists will tell you just to run PCBs, arcade PCBs on them, and obviously you've seen I am dipping my toe into that. It's a bit of a shady area for me though, you know, the PCBs, some of them are very fragile, they're old, and they're irreplaceable, you know, and they're expensive, so if they're going to break, you're going to be left with nothing. So I'm thinking, what do I want to run on these things? Now, the main thing I wanted to run on these cabs were the consoles, because I'd removed my CRT setup from the corner of the room. The older consoles, or consoles that I want some scan lineage action going on with, they were basically, I'm done, you know. It's either get another FrameMeister and run it through the big screen, or, you know, get a CRT. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to get another CRT for consoles when I've got two arcade monitors in here, which are about as best a CRT as you can get, you know, apart from the PVMs and the BVMs and what have you. They're really good quality for running these consoles on. So I'm thinking, and you know what, that would keep the console collection alive as well, because I love the consoles, you know, it's what I grew up with, it's my main nostalgia kick, you know. So I thought, yeah, I'll look into if it's possible to run consoles on these. Now I kind of knew it was-ish, because I'm a big fan of Sean's channel, Fagin RS500. Hello Sean, are you listening to the waffle, or are you just forwarding past it all this time? Yeah, Sean had got PlayStation 2s, he'd got, I think I've seen PlayStation 2s and certainly Xbox 360 running on Sean's cabs, so I know that it's possible to do it, you know. So I started looking into that. How am I going to hook up my consoles, specifically RGB connections as well, consoles, to these cabinets. Now, as you know, I'd got the JTAG 360 from Beeps. Hello Brian, how's it going, mate? Now, a big thanks to Brian as well. Beeps, he's offered me a lot of information and support as well along the way, and he's still continuing to as well with the Naomi project for this horizontal cabinet. So thank you to Brian, he's a solid guy. And I wanted to run that Xbox 360 on the horizontal vertical cabinet, because they're all the vertical Japanese shooters that I've got. Basically, again, like I said, that was the first console I wanted to run through here. Now when they were very first in, before I was kind of doing anything, obviously I want to get some games up and running on them straight away. So having a look around, and went with this option because it's cheap. There's a hell of a lot of games here, and it gets you up and running with absolutely no grief whatsoever. Now these are the Pandora's boxes. Now this is a Pandora's Box 4, which I've taken out the horizontal cab to show you. But the one that I've got in the vertical cab, that is the Pandora's Box King of Air. And that has 51 vertical shooters in it, and Batsugun being one of them. It's my favourite. It's one of my all-time favourite games, is Batsugun. It plays absolutely solidly through it. I can't say I've got an issue with it at all. I've just been playing it before I uploaded this. I'll very badly try and play from here just so you can see it. I'd say it looks absolutely fantastic through this this monitor, and I've not got a problem with this emulation whatsoever, and it is cheap emulation. This cost me, I say it was about 40 something pound plus delivery, so nearly 50 quid. But the way I look at that is it's nearly 50 quid for 50 games, you know, and they're all the arcade games that I wanted. So Batsugun's on here, as I've said before. The Raiden games are on here. Battle Garega's on here. Basically anything within reason, you know, that I'd got on the Dreamcast, on the Saturn, sorry, that was expensive on that system, is on here, you know, with the exception of one or two, which I'm going to buy back because I'm running a Saturn on this horizontal cab. Now I could put a Saturn in the vertical cab as well if I wanted to, but it'd mean, as I say, having to dip back into those games. So this was a quick and easy way of getting games up and running straight away. I've gone all blurry there, haven't we? To getting games, a few games as well, up and running on this cabinet, just to test it, you know. And I thought, well, I'll give them a go, and if it's a load of shit, you know, I'll sell it on. But I'm actually quite impressed with that one. No, they're not all as good as Batsugun. Battle Greg plays solidly, as I say. Bat Rider's really good on it. I'm happy. I'm going to keep that, you know, for 50 quid. And again, it is emulation, but it's not a main PC. It's a quick, simple, easy way of getting yourself up and running, getting a lot of games on there straight away. They come, as I said, they're Chinese made. They're in a 3D printed case. Some of them look like, in fact, the King of Air in there looks like a PS4, like a miniature PS4. They have an SVGA connection. If you've got that on your monitor, obviously I aren't on these. It simply plugs into your jammer edge. You've got a headphone socket on here, which is nice actually because I can sit in here with my Beats on, and the sound is really good through the headphones. If I've got one criticism at all, it is the sound. The sound's not so good from them. One or two of the games, Batsugun, you know, included, the sound is bang on, it's smashing. But there are a couple of games where the sound's not quite, it's a bit buzzy, you know. But when you put your headphones in, these, it sounds a lot better. It sounds crisp and nice. And I have my headphones in a lot of the time in here anyway, because my neighbours next door, that's their daughter's room next door. I don't want to disturb them. We've also got a volume on there as well. Well, there's a master volume on the board. But you have a volume on there as well. Now that one's 645 games in that Pandora's Box 4, and that's the one I bought to plug in. I think I paid 30 quid for that. It was even cheaper. Got it on a cheap auction. As I say, they're not the best ever, but I think bang for your buck. I don't think they can be beat. I think they're absolutely smashing. You know, the purists, yeah, they won't like them. But then again, you know, they don't cost the same as the PCBs. I mean, even if you could get a PCB for Batsugun, God knows you're probably looking at about 1,500 quid, aren't you, for it. And the same with the rest of the others in there. You know, you're looking at an absolute fortune for the PCBs, and they're fragile. You know, if they break, you're going to be in trouble. You might not be able to get them repaired. So that's what I went for. Now, the next thing I hooked up was the Xbox 360, and I've taken the bit of kit out here. Just to show you how I've got that hooked up. Now, I went to UK VAC at this point. A lot of guys on there again that have been there, done that, you know a lot more about it than I ever will. They'll have forgotten more than I'll ever know. And there's a couple of guys on there selling one or two bits of kit to, you know, be able to allow you to do that sort of thing. Now, I wanted to run RGB for the Saturn, and I came across a dude, Shane. He calls himself the Last Bandit. Now, if you go on UK VAC and you want to register, I would suggest you do anyway. There are a good bunch of lads on there. If you're at all interested in video games, you know, there's some cool threads on there about what people are doing and the trials and tribulations of their cabinets. But if you want one of these are from Shane. Now they're €130. They're not cheap, But I have to say, they're done really, really well, and I've been really impressed. I've bought 2 off him, 1 for each cabinet, and I'm really impressed with them, the way he's put them together. They're awesome. So the Last Bandit is his name on UK VAC, and these are the little boards. So basically he does them in a few flavours. He'll do them for PlayStation 2, he'll do them for Sega Saturn, I think he does them for Dreamcast as well, but don't quote me on that. I think basically if you go and ask him, he's going to have a go at doing, you know, doing whatever he can for you. Now, he couldn't do me a board for the 360. Now what he does is he creates the board, and this is a SCART to jammer converter. So we've got a SCART connector there, that's where you plug your console in, and then your jammer edge just plugs in here. But you see there's a sister board on the top, okay? And on that sister board, I don't know if you can make it out, it says PlayStation. Alright, so this one is the one for the PS2, and these are basically, you know, where you plug your controllers in. So you would go straight into your PS2 with the controllers on this board, and then from the jammer edge, that's going to send all those signals to your panel. So you ain't got to do a pad hack or anything. You just plug these in. The sister, you do these with or without the sister board as well. But if you want to run that, you know, if you want to just plug a console straight in, that's how you do it. It's that easy. You'll just plug it in. This has volume control on it as well here. It also has a headphone socket as well. The only thing about this, I'd say, is a little bit fragile. What I might do is, we've got some post holes in each corner here, and I've got some of that Perspex sheet. So what I might do is cut a couple of squares and put some posts in here, and just put some Perspex above and below while it's rattling around inside the cabinet. I've taken out the boards that you mount your PCB onto to get more room, so it is a little bit, you know, you've got to be careful putting it in and out there. But you literally just hook your SCART connection into there from your console, and then these go straight into the console from the board, and that's it. You're in, you're away, you're going. There is a thing on here for mapping analog and the digital input as well. And if you're using if you're using games that use the DualShock, you know, you can change between either you're using the D-pad or the DualShock controllers. I'm making a really bad job of explaining how these work, but you know, he will help you. There was a time when I first plugged this in and I couldn't get the panel on, and he said, "Oh no, what you do is you just press up and start, and then it'll map it to the D-pad, and then you'll be away." And I did that, and it worked straight away brilliantly. So he will support as well, offer you some advice, and he actually sent me quite a big post as well on UK VAC of how to you know, how to get them set up. And I was up and running in no time at all. Now, you're thinking, well, you just said he can't do one for the 360, so have you got the 360 working? So I said to him, you know, do you do one for the 360? And he said no, but he said what you could try is the PlayStation one, and then get a PlayStation to USB connector. So that's what I did. So basically went to eBay and picked up one of these. So it's, I think this is PS2 to Xbox 360 converter, and it has a little button in the middle for the Xbox button. So all I do is I plug that into the PS2 end, that then goes into the Xbox 360, and I'm up and running. It'll basically, little lights flash up here and it'll go to the first bulb. The only drawback with this is all this is inside the cabinet, and when I'm using the J tag, if I want to come back out of a game, I have to press the X, the Xbox button, to get back to the menu, and so that means I've just got to open the door and press that to get back to the menu. It's not a massive ball ache, but what I've done is I've bought an extra controller, bought an extra 360 controller. I've not got a battery for it yet actually, but the idea is have that on the outside, so if, you know, if I can sync that as a second controller, I can press that way out to get inside the cabinet and just get back to my menu. I think what I'll do is I'll just drop that back in now, and yeah, we'll show you. Shall I take you down to the cabinet? Shall we have a look inside how it's hooked up? Now in here I've also got the PS2, and that's in the back corner. It's very, very tight in there, and it's a bit of a mess, to be honest. It's a bit of a mess of wires, and I do intend to kind of try and sort that out. I've also got big heavy duty step down converters inside these cabinets because they are Japanese. So I've got a step down converter inside, so that what comes to the outside is just a cable. I know a lot of the lads were saying, I bet you got the backs off them, haven't you? No, I haven't. One thing I have done is there's a little inspection hatch on the back that's about yay big, and I've left that off just to let some air circulate, because it can get quite warm in here. So just to let, you know, just to make sure things are warmer. So we'll set this up back down here, and we'll look at. I'll just swap over and show you how I hook up the J-tag. We'll do that. Catch you in a minute. Okay, so we're down near the guts of it all. So these cabinets also didn't come with locks. A little tip for you is these locks that I've got on here. They basically fit in there. They're exactly the same kind of latch mechanism that the standard ones are, but these were destined for pinball machines. Now these can fetch 20 quid each, these barrel sets, each barrel, especially if it's got a key with it for the actual Sega unit. They fetch a lot of money. It's a bit steep, so I found those on eBay, and you can buy 5 for 12 quid. So I bought 2 sets, you know, and got my cabinets all hooked up with it. So basically this is the front door. The only thing I'm going to do with these cabinets, I thought about painting them up. Around the door apertures and here and there, there's a few scratches. Now the doors themselves, they are steel, so I'm thinking about having those powder coated. I'm not going to paint them, I'm thinking about having them powder coated, because they are a little bit discoloured. The cabinets themselves, as I say, there's 1 or 2 marks in that, but I quite like that, you know, it gives them a bit of character. So in here we can see, or we can't see, yeah, you can just see here, that's the King of Air, that's the Pandora's Box King of Air. See how it looks like a little PS4. We have the J-tag 360, which is just inside here. I'll grab you off the stand in a minute and get you a bit closer. And I've got the power supply here, which needs anchoring to this side wall, down to the main power switch in the back, which is the converter, the step-down transformer. So I'll switch it off there. So that's switched off. Now the way to get this set up, as I say, I'll show you the 360 in a minute. Basically your jammer edge that's in the back here, that's in this Pandora's Box King of Air. Just take that off. So there's the King of Air. I said that's the one with all those shooters on it. I think it's worth it. You know, I really do. I think that's worth it. So the jammer edge that I've just took off there, I'll just put into the edge of the SCART to jammer converter. Very important that you get these jammer edges the right way around. I've learnt that very early on. A lot of people saying to me, you know, make sure that you push that on the right way round. I know now that this one, the writing faces up when I put it in, because the stuff on the right hand side is for all the power and stuff, so if you put it in the other way around you can blow shit up, you know, and I don't want to do that. So here I've got the SCART that's coming out of the back of the Xbox 360, and you can get SCART lead for Xbox 360, which is, you know, a bit of a bonus. I doubt I would have been able to go HDMI, you know, to jammer, but you never know, there's probably some boffin somewhere who can do that. You plug your SCART lead straight into that side of the board, so that goes in there. Check if you can see that or not. I'll bring you over here in a second. In fact, we'll do that now. And then this simply just goes into the J-tag 360. Let me get you off the stand there in a second. So yeah, let's see if we can see in here. I've got a little spot. I've got a little powered LED in here, and I can show you as well. So as I say, it is a little cluttered in here, as you can see. In the back there, that's my step down converter. This is the main power here. That's the main power here. I'm going to anchor that back on there. As I say, I'm still to tidy up a bit in here. Don't look too bad, I don't suppose. But here's the J-tag 360. As I say, I'll get that plugged in there now. Stick that in there. The right way around. There you go. So that's in there now. And I'd say that's the converter for the Japanese for the PS2 to Xbox 360 adapter, and that's the board. So we're plugged in here with our RGB SCART cable. You can just see in the back, there's the PS2 in the back, and what I've actually done there is I've taken, that's the bucket in the bottom there, that's the bucket from the change door, which is that sits in there supposed to catch all the change. But this thing here, the this big silver box at the side, that actually comes off, and that's literally just to house the coin bucket. That's all that's for. So there's a ton of space there inside, and if you can see inside, it's pretty empty, you know, and it's pretty big inside here. There's loads of space. So that's where the Japanese PS2's living, in the back of there. and then the 360 is just at the side here. So it all fits, and I got some comments saying, Jesus, how do you fit all that in there? But they're pretty cavernous inside, has to be said, pretty cavernous. So what I need to do then is just power it back up. So I'll switch back on here. Just make sure I'm all right. Yeah, power it back on here for the main screen. And then power the JTAG up. And you see the little box flashing. Now this was a Japanese unit, this one. When you take it out and put it in sometimes, it doesn't quite connect. I'm looking for a red dot here which will tell me that it's all connected. So, because for a time I thought it didn't actually work this. I thought it wasn't working. Sometimes the JTAG takes a little a minute or two just to get itself up and running and install. But it will be on shortly, I have no doubt. It's not going to let me down. But yeah, you can see there, you know, pretty much everything fits. Do you know what? I think I've plugged in the PS1, haven't I? I plugged in the PS2, I mean. That's my SCART cable for the JTAG. I plugged the wrong one in. Oh no, I'm talking box. I've actually got a SCART splitter here. I don't even know what I've fucking done. So I've got JTAG and PS2 in the SCART splitter there, and that's going into here. That's going into there. So I ain't got to piss about. And here we are, we're just booting up now. You can see the Xbox 360 logo. Obviously the stripes that you can see, I can't see because it's you know, you're filming a CRT. And there you go. So it's all up. That'll flash. There you're on. We're all up and running. So we'll go back to the tripod and just show you this as it's all set up. So that's the inside of that one. That is how it's all working. That's how it's all hooked up. Yeah. So that's how we basically got that hooked up. So one of those little SCART to JAMMA converters for the PlayStation 2 with a PS2 to Xbox 360 adapter, and it works. Now obviously that's in its vertical setup, so when I get to my inside my JTAG, I need to basically obviously get into the games, and I can set them up. You know, there are some horizontal games within here as well. The Automedius games, the Strike Witchers, I think. What else is in here? But there's a shit ton of verticals, so it's quite easy to get in and run it. And you basically your stick on the panel is controlling. Honestly, I ain't got a 360 controller down there. So the stick on the panel's controlling, yeah, here, and then obviously you've got your buttons on the front that are getting you into all the rest of it. So as I say, I can scroll through all my games on here, and I can select, and then I can start to play. The one that I've been playing the most on here, which is one of my favourites, is Bullet Soul Infinite Burst. I've been playing that a lot. It's really cool. But I've also been playing Raiden 4 on here as well. And what it'll do is it'll actually remember how I've got it set up as well. So the last time I had it in, I got it set up for a vertical setup, and it'll remember that. So once I start, kicking the game into action, it'll actually fire up. It'll actually fire up into its vertical state. So the start button works off start. All the panel is basically hooked up via that SCART to JAMMA. And here you go. I'm into the main game. And I have to say that the 360 as well looks really good on this CRT. I'm surprised, really surprised how well it looks. The sound and everything is awesome. Although I have got a mind to change the speakers on these. I know I said that I wasn't 100% convinced on the speakers. I mean, for in here, I'm not going to blast the walls out. As I've said, I don't want to be doing that. But it's something that, as I say, I think can be improved. And also, you can, obviously, with these monitors, you can mess about with the colours, you can mess about with the brightness. And what I do from game to game is, I can tweak it, and I can kind of optimise the screen size. I can optimise the colours. From game to game, you do have to play about a little bit, and you start becoming a bit anal about it all, to be honest. You start becoming a little bit, could do with looking a bit better, that could do. Now on this one, On this particular cab, I figured that I might need to service the chassis, because when you power it up for the first 10 minutes, it's kind of bleached out, it's really pale, the picture's really pale, but then once it warms up, it's fine. Now the chassis on these things are pretty old, you know, they're running you know, old capacitors and stuff like that, and in time these things, you know, may break down and wear, but you know, Craig's here again says to me, you know, if it works, don't fix it, leave it alone, just enjoy it, and you know, and everything should be fine. You know, don't have it repaired until. Now I have had the horizontal cab, I did need to do a bit of a repair on that, because the PSU actually let me down. I'd had it a couple of weeks and the power supply basically launched itself. Now that went to another guy who's on the forums, and I'll thank him in the horizontal cab video, because I'm going to do one for that as well. Sat at a funny angle here, although I do suck at these games anyway, so sat at a funny angle off it here. Not really concentrating, you know, I'm yakking away. That's my excuse, and I'm going to fucking stick to it, bollocks to you. So yeah, so that's how that's hooked up. And the PS2 is hooked up in exactly the same fashion. In fact, I'll just do a swap around now and show you the PS2 running, shall I? So there you go, that's the PS2 hooked up. So all I did there was just powered up the PS2, swapped over they took the adapter out for the controller, and just plugged it straight into the PS2. Got it set into Tate mode, and here I am. So, you know, it's as simple as that really. It's exactly the same thing I've got doing with the horizontal cab with the Saturn inside it. And there's a bit of Soku Gorentai there playing on that one, which I bought back this week. So yeah, that's basically where we're at. Thank everybody there for helping me set this up so far. Last Bandit on UK VAC. Thanks for those, as I say. They're not cheap, but they, you know, they're a really good job. He does a really nice job of them. They come really well packaged and everything. Come in good time. No messing about at all. And it's basically a quick and easy way of getting yourself up and running, you know, on your cab. It's not anything that, as I say, is difficult to do particularly. It was good for me because it meant I could get straight in. You know, to my games that I'd got on my consoles, I could get them running them on these CRTs. As I say, it wasn't difficult at all. I found it really easy. One or two things to set them up. A little bit of tweaking here and there, as I say, between games for your display. You know, you'll become a little bit anal when it comes to that. Which display or what settings you want to know. And I'm still learning now. You know, on this one I've spent a bit of time setting up the red, green, and blue for the Sega Saturn, and it's one of those things where, you know, you're not really ever going to be happy, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, it's as true to the arcade, you know, as you can get for the home console, and playing it through a candy cab like this, you know, is that's again is about as true as you can get. It's now saying charge your battery pack, so I think we'll leave it there, chaps. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye now.